back there somewhere I was just meditating. I'm in the local swamp, kind of. It's a place I love to go. Nature reserve. I show you a little bit while I speak. Yeah, so I was meditating and found some clarity and decided to make a walk and talk, sharing perspective that came to me. Yeah, and I want to start by saying that it's kind of a reply to someone I was having a conversation with a few days ago, and so I've been spending a lot of time by myself and over the last month, and when I look at the last years, then I really have withdrawn from mainstream society and spend a lot of time in circles where there's a lot of focus on healing and inner work and yeah, this kind of things. I'll speak more to that later. So rarely do I have a long conversation with somebody who's really living mainstream culture or has a regular job even. And so she's a teacher, and yeah, it was very interesting to have this conversation. That's where you go into the real swamp, but it's getting dark and cold and I'm going home. Yeah, so it was a moment where two very different worlds kind of came together, and we love each other very much. So there's a lot of yeah, it's a good conversation we're having, and I realized, or we both realized, like how far away our worlds are from each other. I mean, for her now, I'm. You know, when we speak superficially. We've known each other for a long time, so she kind of still knows old me, and not the only information from the last years have been spending time in a free love community and going to the jungle, getting doing all these kind of retreat things, tantra, and doing other medicines, talking about death and what's going on there, and like this is not really her reality normally, these kind of things. So and the question came, I don't understand why would you do that? Like there's no concept for her like this. And yeah, so now I think in the bigger picture of society, this very symbolic kind of moment. Oh, that's a dead little frog crossing my way. What to do, little guy? Sorry, I had to. Yes. That's how it goes, walking through the swamp. Yeah, it's a symbolic conversation we were having, and brought some clarity to me. I really appreciate it. And it's about like let's say, I and many other people that I've met along my path and spent time with, and so we have a proposal in a way for what life can be like, or has been something triggered in us about a different world. Charles Eisenstein called it the beautiful world your heart knows exists. So we have in some way come into contact with that on such a degree that our love for life and this free world, this beautiful, beautiful, harmonious world with so much love for all the animals and the plants and each other and dancing and celebration and like in this world there's no fear and no need for fear, and that's actually possible. So we've come into contact with that, and then when the love for that gets stronger than the fear of all the fears, then the tipping point has been reached and life becomes about living in that world. But what's in the way of that world, and that's all the fears and the blockages, and there's a lot of healing work that needs to be done for me to realize that world, manifest that world, and I'm doing that. That's why I practice and meditate and do all the things. But for me to find this discipline also, and like to put myself again and again into very, very uncomfortable situations, facing death and going to drink the cup of ayahuasca is like the most courageous thing I've done, maybe, after knowing what kind of places and things I might have to go through again. All of that, the motivation to do that comes from having touched the beauty of life, the love for life. And when this has not been touched yet, then the motivation to do all these things, of course, or even seeing the reason and a reason to do all that isn't there yet. And so this became kind of clear in this conversation. And I think, like, for you as somebody who's watching, listening at the moment, maybe for you know exactly what I am talking about. And then I say, thank you, sister, thank you, brother, we're getting there. Or you think I'm kind of, you don't have that concept, yeah? And I think it's kind of like thinking outside of the box is such a easy statement for how I grew up in the society that I found myself in, and being kind of adapted, not kind of, being fully adapted to it and enjoying it also, and all of that. I didn't even have any, like, my imagination was not couldn't go to those places until I had seen and experienced and felt this in places and ceremonies. And so I guess, like many people who are on this path, they then also end up creating, becoming healers themselves, creating healing spaces, ceremonies, different kinds, all sorts of things are out there. And that's the drive that people have, and that's also like this, let's say, for example, the idea of around money. This was also a topic that came up, and to imagine a world where we don't need money actually, or let's say a world where we don't need law or contracts. That's unimaginable for many people. And of course also there's like the question of how would that even come about, and looking at the reality that we find ourselves in with all these structures and institutions, but also internally, that's where it really is. It's all in our heads, in our minds, and so that's also where the healing potential lies, and the capacity to imagine that different reality or world that it lies in the mind. All is mind, the first of the Hermetic principles. So this is like the nature reserve. It's so nice, I love it. There's a big lake and forest, and it's the area of great diversity, it's called, something like that. Yeah, so all of it is in the mind, and to like now some words on how do I imagine this transition or a shift or something like that, because it becomes a non-issue in a way, and I kind of want to say it's about culture. Yeah, all of this is in our culture, and the question is not how do we move away, how do you transform that old culture, let's say the monetary system and borders and states. Oh, it's starting to rain. States and all these things. Yeah, it's such a complex thing, and but then on the other side, when the internally the things shifted in a way for me, where I discovered a higher. I mean, it's all the dance between the ego and the higher self, if you want to call it that. So the moment the higher self enters the game, there is no. It becomes the only authority, in a way. There's no question about it. When this voice speaks, it goes beyond anything that is of this world, let's say. So the more somebody heals, the more, in other words, the more this spirit lands in that being. And so it's a different level of consciousness. So many of these circles are also called like it's the conscious community. And yeah, maybe many people of them, it's not about saying all the things we do are super conscious. Maybe some people say that, whatever. But it's the common denominator is actually how I project onto this community, okay? But it's the point, what it's about, it's the having been activated by life and understanding that it's all about the level of consciousness, raising the consciousness, raising the vibration. That this is what we're here for, and having touched that image that waits on the other side of it, where all the structures just drop and the whole culture that we grew up in and so on, it's like it's just a game. It's all in the head, and basically we can stand up from the table and look at a game that we played, and now we stop playing the game because it's not nice anymore. When kind of like playing Monopoly game, after some hours somebody's just the richest, and there's no point in playing anymore. And so we stand up and play a new game, make a new game, and now there was a deer, there's another one. So yeah, in the new game we love each other, we love nature, and that's just how it is, and it's true, and it's beautiful, and it's happening. And we are waiting for all the people who still play the other game. And I play along, yeah, here and there. I do some, it's all good. But also I'm anchoring and putting my energy and time. Yeah, that's what else do you have in your life? It's money and energy, not money and these kind of things, but it's the time and energy, the spiritual currency, where do I put it? And it's gonna be just really beautiful and amazing, and I love you all. That's now I'm leaving the kind of calm track in a moment here, so maybe it's also good. I talk a long time, I guess, but that wanted to come out. I love you. Greetings from the swamp. And yeah, leave me a comment, or I would love to hear something if there is something. And yeah, we're going into that world anyway, because the thing is, evolution is going into, you don't evolve backwards in your opening of your mind. So what's on the individual level, maybe somebody would enlighten or so, this also can happen on a society level, and the time is ready for this. It's been like the hippies didn't do it yet, but some ideas and the evolution is just moving forward, and now the old game that we all played is quite obviously not a good game, and the rules didn't make sense so much here and there, and it was easy to trick the game, and now we get up and start a new one. In this sense, I love you all. Let's enjoy the journey and see you next time. Bye.